afternoon. I'm flutist Lindsey Goodman, and welcome to my living room in Central Ohio. I hope that wherever you are, you're safe, healthy, and comfortable. I thank you for joining me today for the final concert of the River Cities Symphony Orchestra's virtual season. Today's program is called Flights of Fancy, so I hope that you're prepared for some whimsical music. If you're like many people, the first thing you need every morning is a cup of coffee. Your day can't start without a proper cup, which begs the question, do you control the caffeine, or does the caffeine control you? In 2018, Charleston, West Virginia composer Matt Jackfert wrote his piece Caffeind for me to answer this astute query based on a generous commission from our friend Marlise Charbonnier. Matt's orchestral music has been performed 4 times by the River Cities Symphony, and his voice is familiar to every listener of West Virginia Public Radio. Now, to perform Caffeind with me here today, I would like to welcome my co-star to the stage, this coffee mug, and we invite you to sit back, sip your favorite beverage, and enjoy. Matt's piece, as well as the final piece on today's program, are electroacoustic, which means that there's both an electronic and an acoustic component to the compositions, fantastically combining all of the cutting-edge technology you see here with my ancient flute. I've been performing and commissioning this style of music for over a decade, and I'm so pleased to be able to share this special genre of works with you this afternoon. Like many people, I talk to myself from time to time, but spending so much time alone at home during this pandemic, I've actually begun having full-fledged conversations with myself. When you talk to yourself, do you answer back? There's something almost Shakespearean about this phenomenon, but this theatrical bent is to be expected from Hollywood-based composer Bruce Babcock, whose music backs hundreds of television programs and films. Do yourself a favor, do an IMDb search. You'll be amazed. His solo flute piece, Soliloquy, was written for the legendary flutist James Galway, who never played the work. So his loss is my gain. I say, to be or not to be, that is the question. miss most in this world crisis is you, the audience. I miss that indescribable energy of being in the same space with people experiencing live music. Though I love the convenience of live streaming and recording concerts from my house, interaction with audience members like you is a huge loss. Today, though, we have a unique opportunity to have a conversation, because after this last piece, we're going to have a question and answer session in real time. Simply type a question for me into the comments on the live streaming video you're watching on the River City Symphony Orchestra Facebook page for me to answer. It's your opportunity to ask me anything. What am I doing with my feet while I'm playing? What is all of this equipment doing anyway? Why isn't my dog on screen? Why is my hair purple? Well, the answer to that last question is a bit complicated, because the color purple doesn't actually exist outside our own minds. Humans see purple when our eyes are presented with colors from either extreme end of the spectrum. This fascinating piece of color science is the inspiration for New York City-based composer Randy Woolf's The Line of Purples, which he wrote for me in 2015. River City Symphony Orchestra audiences will remember Randy's fantastic concerto, The Angel of the Odd, which I performed with the RCSO in October 2017 with the composer in our presence at the People's Bank Theater. But don't believe your eyes. All of this purple is merely an illusion. wherever you are, thank you so much for watching this afternoon, for indulging in these musical flights of fancy. It's my sincere hope that you enjoyed hearing these works as much as I enjoyed playing them for you. As we get ready to have our live chat and you're thinking about the questions you'd like to ask me, I want to send 1,000 thanks to the River City Symphony Orchestra for ideating and implementing this virtual season, and to the Marietta College Music Department for sponsoring my appearance on the season. It's my great pleasure to serve as principal flutist of the River City Symphony and as adjunct instructor of flute at Marietta. I hope that you'll visit these fine institutions' websites where you can find additional information for both. And if you've enjoyed this concert so much that you would like to become a sponsor of the RCSO, simply visit rcso.info to make a donation directly from the webpage. Okay, I think we're done with the flute playing for right now, and we're going to actually have a performer-audience conversation. Thank you to my helpful tech husband, who is going to be our moderator. What questions do we have from the audience?
We don't have any questions quite yet.
Okay.
So people should get them coming in here. We do have lots of comments. Before you started, Ian wished you toy, toy, toy.
Thanks, Ian. If you don't know Ian Jesse, he's our wonderful concert master of the RCSO. He performed last weekend, and that concert is archived on the RCSO Facebook page. If you missed it, definitely check it out. He sounds spectacular.
And before you started, Sarah Graff-Ruff, childhood friend, said, "I love your dress, Lindsey."
Why, thank you. As you can tell, it is themed to that last work on our concert, Randy Woolf's The Line of Purples. And this just goes to show that the virtual season has expanded the River City Symphony's listening audience. My dear friend Sarah and I have been friends since the 3rd grade, and she's tuning in from Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
And Aaron had seconded that sentiment about your dress. Torres, yep.
Hey Aaron! So when I played the Angel of the Odd Concerto by Randy Woolf with River Cities back in October 2017, Aaron Torres was the second flutist for that concert and moved on over to principal while I was out front. So there's a River Cities family member listening in. Thank you.
We did have a question come in, actually, from composer Randy Woolf, who said also that it was a brilliant performance, and thank you so much. But Randy asked, how do you find the pieces that you play?
Fabulous question. First off, hey Randy, hey Kathy. They're watching from their home in New York. Randy is one of my longest standing and most frequent musical collaborators. I have literally lost count of the number of pieces that Randy has written for me. I think it's around 6, and then I play a couple others of his that are for flute as well, but written for other performers. So it's true. If you're a traditional performer who likes to play Bach and Beethoven and Brahms, which I also do, it's pretty easy to find that repertoire. It's been performed and recorded and is all over that there internet. But if you're like me and you really love to play the music of today, the music of living composers that expresses the world you see outside your window in 2020, and what a world it is, then you have to do a little research to find great composers and great pieces. For me, my journey in new music started with finding a few specifically electroacoustic pieces that I simply loved and had to play. And from there, because this genre is still growing, I found a lot of composers that I love to collaborate with and asked them specifically to write for me. Because in a concert setting, my favorite thing to do is to come out to friends on the music stand. So both Matt Jackfert's piece, which started the program, and Randy's piece were written for me because I'd known their music and loved it and wanted something new that was a collaboration that spoke to us. Bruce's piece that was in the middle of the program came to me as a result of a call for scores through my record label, Parmo Recordings, and his work was selected and recorded on my most recent album called Eterio, which debuted in January.
Okay, we have some questions rolling in now. And Linda asked, would you tell the people about the recordings you've made?
Absolutely. This is Linda Kernahan, I'm assuming. My dear friend, Linda Kernahan, composer extraordinaire, faculty member at Otterbein University here in Columbus, Ohio. So the recordings I've made, I just spoke a little bit about my most recent one, Eterio. That is an album of works that were all found through a call for scores that went out 2 summers ago. And I discovered some pieces I'd never known, and then had some lovely, friendly composer collaborators that I did know submit their works as well. So that album is a wonderful recording that features solo flute, electroacoustic flute, my duo Chrysalis for flute and piano, and my trio Leviathan for flute, cello, and piano, which includes cellist Hannah Presley of the River City Symphony. My two previous solo albums are Reach Through the Sky came out first, that was from New Dynamic Records, and then Returning to Heights Unseen was my second, also from Parma Recordings. Those 2 albums are full of works that were written just for me, including one by Linda Kernahan, who asked that fantastic question. If you'd like to get a copy of my albums, signed even, simply drop me a line at lindsey@lindseygoodman.com, and I'll send it out to you via USPS. Save the mail.
We had a really specific flute technique question from Lorraine Miller. Asks, do you use a soft embouchure?
That's an interesting question. I would say I use a variety of embouchures, Lorraine. It's definitely the case that in playing music like that you've heard today, it goes to the extremes. There's the extremes of register, of dynamic, and of color. And so I think that any embouchure is fair game. Whatever gets the job done is what's going to work to express the composer's vision.
She also asked, did you have these pieces memorized?
Ooh, that is a great question. So many wonderful soloists really connect well with music when it's from memory. You think about great pianists, singers, violinists. So often they play everything from memory. Hi, I'm Lindsey Goodman. I can't memorize music to save my life. I will do it under duress, but especially for these newly composed works that have a lot of different moving parts between coordinating with the computer and the speakers and my foot pedals. It's much safer if I stay staring at the score so that I can both troubleshoot any flute problems and any technology problems.
Speaking of technology, Brian McMichael asks, how did you first discover and then develop interest and expertise in performing electroacoustic music?
Why, hello, Dr. McMichael. There's one of our healthcare heroes out there on the front lines of this pandemic working at the Ohio State University Medical Center. So my love affair with electroacoustic music began in 2003. I was a student at the Manhattan School of Music in New York City, and I was enrolled in all things in the orchestral performance program. Makes sense since I play with the River City Symphony. But I went to a concert given by a flute faculty member named Patty Monson, and she played an entire concert of electroacoustic music. Before, anytime I went to a flute concert, it would always be flute and piano, or flute with some chamber music. But instead, there was an entire hour where Patty stood on stage by herself with a whole bunch of microphones and speakers and computers and foot pedals, and out of that melange of amazing technology came the most spectacular sounds I'd ever heard. She was a one-woman band, and I was smitten. I haven't looked back since.
And I think that's about it for questions. We do have a lot of comments, and people really enjoyed the performance.
Oh, I'm so glad. It means the world to me. You have no idea how strange it is to get all gussied up in a cocktail dress and hair and makeup with all of your tech, and you can't see there's a lighting rig, there's a whole bunch of extension cords, we have 6 devices running. It feels very strange to do this in my own living room, stare at my phone, and assume that somehow it's going out through the magical internet and having a connection with you. As I said during the performance, this is what I miss the most, that connection that we have of music. And knowing that you enjoyed yourself today means the world to me. So you can feel free to ask some more questions, sort of to fill some time as we get some more. I want to say a couple words about the fantastic River City Symphony. So I've been playing with this wonderful orchestra for quite some time. I started off as third flute piccolo, and now I serve as principal flutist under our wonderful music director and conductor, Bob Territziani, one of the best musicians I know, hands down. Between playing concerts in Parkersburg and Marietta, and now at our new home at the People's Bank Theater, one of my favorite things about River Cities is the fact that we have fantastic educational programs. Every year I look forward to our educational programs for schools where we pack the People's Bank Theater, both balcony and floor, with as many school children from the surrounding area as you can possibly imagine. And their visceral energy is electric to be hearing live orchestral music. That's one of the great missions that we do in this wonderful orchestra, and I know that your sponsorship of the RCSO at rcso.info will go far to helping make those educational programs possible. I also want to say some great words about my wonderful music department at Marietta College. I've been serving as adjunct instructor of flute there for, again, quite some time. And we actually begin classes on Monday. I am so excited to be welcoming my biggest incoming freshman class of 3 flute majors into the department. So I look forward to being down there in the mid-Ohio Valley with all of you soon, providing safe, socially distanced, applied flute lessons. Marietta now provides degree programs in music education, in music therapy, and Bachelor's of Arts in Music. So it's a wonderful destination for any undergraduate music student who's looking for a home in the future.
Still no additional questions that came in, but I almost missed that Jim Simonson requested a appearance by Jack.
Jim, you are what I have been waiting for. So here's my #1 fan, friends. This is my #1 fan, Jack Goodman Carmine, the Bichon Frise. He is nearly 15, and he loves the flute. So true story, when I go into my studio to practice at home, within a few notes, Jack always comes in, and he brings his favorite toy, a hard rubber Kong, and he drops it at my feet. You cannot play the flute in this house without paying the Bichon tax and filling it with treats so that he can enjoy, and then he goes and sits in his little bed in the corner of the studio, happy as a clam, and sleeps away until I'm done practicing. So my favorite thing about playing concerts from home is that the being on earth who hears more of my practicing than any other gets to finally have a front row seat to all of my concerts. He was asleep on the couch the whole time, just as he should be. Thanks, buddy. Thanks, Jim. All right, so I think and wrap this up. If you have any more questions for me, please connect with me at lindseygoodman.com or on any of my social media outlets on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or LinkedIn. I so appreciate you sharing this concert and conversation with me this afternoon. And thank you again to the River City Symphony Orchestra and to the Marietta College Music Department for the opportunity to perform for you. Also, tremendous thanks to the composers, Matt, Bruce, and Randy, for giving me permission to perform their works in this brave new live streaming world. Until we're together again, in person, be well.